What do you mean? I was told there would be someone who speaks multiple languages at this meeting, so I made time in my busy schedule for this. What? Multiple languages? I hadn't heard anything about that. Was there some mistake? This was a crucial business meeting for the company's future. And Mr. Irving was presenting in English. Then one of the attendees started speaking in Chinese. We certainly hadn't anticipated Chinese. Was that a lie? You'd do anything to set up this meeting, wouldn't you? This is a matter of trust. There's been a misunderstanding. Like Mr. Irving, I was also panicking. I had to say something. I stood up and raised my voice. Please wait. I'll answer. As expected, all eyes in the room turned to me. There was no turning back now. This was the start of the biggest moment of my life. My name is Jason. I'm 23 years old and currently job hunting. The company I joined as a new graduate prioritized profit over employee well-being, and I had to quit because it ruined my health. Raised in a single-parent household, I couldn't afford to go to college and started working right after high school. I worked hard to repay my mother, who raised me alone, but I had no choice but to leave my job. It's tough to find openings for high school graduates. I wouldn't care about the job if I were alone, but I have someone I want to support. I had another interview today, but when I talked about my academic background and my previous health issues, they gave me a skeptical look. Opening my planner full of interview appointments, I sighed. I have to find a job soon. Making life easier for my mother seemed like a distant dream. I got off at the downtown station and noticed someone crouching against a building wall. Was the person feeling unwell? People glanced over but didn't stop to help. When someone's in trouble, we should help each other. Be a kind person who offers a hand. My mother always told me. Without hesitation, I knelt beside the person. Are you feeling unwell? Should I call an ambulance? She held a handkerchief to her mouth, sweat streaming down her temples. Rudely, I was startled. The woman, slightly older than me, was incredibly beautiful. She was wearing a suit, so she was probably at work. While I stared, she looked at me with narrowed eyes. Yes, I'm fine, just a little dizzy. You don't look fine. Let's sit on that bench. Can you move? I helped her to a bench in the station square. I bought a bottle of water from a nearby vending machine and handed it to her. Are you sure you don't need an ambulance? Yes. This happens often, so I'll be fine after a little rest. This happens often. You shouldn't be outside working like this. What? Please take better care of yourself. I immediately regretted saying that in such a rush. Take care of yourself was something I often told my mother. She worked tirelessly for my sake, neglecting her own health. I want to make sure you have plenty to eat, she used to say, even as she frequently became immobilized from overwork and anemia. Even if we could afford to eat well every day, I wouldn't be happy if my mother, the most important person to me, wasn't healthy. That's why I couldn't stand people who pushed themselves too hard. Well, I guess I can't really talk since I wrecked my own health at my last job. I never expected to be lectured. The woman, looking much better, laughed. I'm sorry for being rude. Rude? You were worried about me, right? Thank you. And for helping me, too. No, I'm just glad you're feeling better. At that moment, my recruitment bag, which I had placed carelessly at the foot of the bench, tipped over. The items inside slid out because I hadn't closed it properly after taking out my wallet. Documents scattered at the woman's feet, and she started picking them up with her delicate hands. Oh, I'm sorry for making you pick those up. It's fine, oh. She seemed to notice something on the documents and turned to me. Are you job hunting? Yes. Well, more like I'm looking for a new job. Really? You look so young, I thought you were a college student. That would be my age. But I only have a high school diploma. My previous company was exploitative. I found myself telling my life story to a complete stranger. Realizing I was talking to someone who had been feeling unwell, I stopped. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't need to hear this, just forget it. Hey. The woman, now much recovered, stood up and grabbed my shoulder. Then she said something completely unexpected. Why don't you come work for my company? What? A few days later, I was standing in front of an office building in a prime location. Nervously, I entered through the automatic doors and called from the designated floor. Hello, this is Irving. Good morning, it's Jason. I've just arrived. Thanks for calling. I'll come get you. Before long, the woman from the other day appeared from behind the reception desk. Her name is Ashley Irving. She is the president of the hotel management company that I am now standing in front of. After helping her at the station, she somehow scouted me and showed me her business card, which left me stunned. The Irving Group is famous for managing hotels. Originally running business hotels, they now cater to various needs, including domestic and international tourists. Why would they want someone like me? It seemed too good to be true. I suspected it might be a scam, but seeing Ms. Irving's face coming out of the main office made me believe, whether I wanted to or not. Hiring someone like me, without significant qualifications and who had to leave a company due to health issues. I'm just grateful to Ms. Irving. I'll work hard for this company. Now, I have not only my mother but also Ms. Irving is someone I owe a great deal to. I vowed to myself that no matter what happens, I won't give up. Yes. Even if the other employees don't think highly of me. A high school graduate hired mid-career? With just high school knowledge, won't it be tough here? Whispers and indirect comments about me being out of place became a daily occurrence. The Irving Group is full of people from prestigious universities. They probably can't believe there's a high school graduate in the same office. In fact, there are no new graduate positions for high school graduates. I only got in because I had work experience and was hired mid-career. But those who enter this company mid-career are usually looking to advance their careers. There wasn't anyone else in my situation. To the other employees, my presence, without impressive academic background or a clear path for career advancement, must have been unwelcome. It's no wonder they think, why someone like him? Jason, were you really too poor to go to college? Well, yes. You should have used scholarships or something. I wanted to start working as soon as possible. That much? Your parents must be terrible to make you go through that. I felt a surge of anger when they talked about my mother, but I was mature enough not to raise my voice. They didn't know anything about my mother, so they could only say that. Don't let it bother you. I told myself that. Even though I faced daily ridicule, this company didn't overwork its employees beyond regulations or deny them time off, unlike my previous job. I was quite fortunate. I couldn't afford to give up just because I couldn't get the understanding of those around me. Still, hiring a high school graduate when the company's value is high, what's Ms. Irving thinking? Well, she's just a temporary president. Perplexed by my senior colleague's disdain, I tilted my head. What do you mean by temporary? Haven't you heard? Until half a year ago, her father was the president. But when he suddenly fell ill, Ms. Irving had to step in as the second president. I see. She's still learning how to run the company and isn't fully fledged as a professional. Who knows when she'll be ousted? That's why she's considered temporary. The seniors laughed heartily among themselves. Ms. Irving hadn't yet built enough trust among the employees to avoid such remarks. It's no surprise. It was an emergency situation. I remembered the first time I met Ms. Irving. Despite clearly feeling unwell, she insisted she was fine. Perhaps her current circumstances and the pressure were making her feel ill. If it were me, I would have been crushed much earlier. I wished for her to find peace, but it didn't seem likely. I wondered if there was anything I could do to help. But, well, it's only a matter of time before she's replaced as president. Another senior who had been listening to our conversation joined in. After all, there's a true candidate for president. The true candidate? Look, it's that manager over there, Daniel. My senior discreetly pointed to a male employee who was chatting amicably with his subordinates. He appeared to be in his early 40s, youthful yet authoritative. Before the previous president stepped down, everyone assumed Daniel would be the next president. His father runs a company too. And he's been groomed for this role since he was young. He's capable and highly trusted. So everyone thought he was a shoo-in for the next president. Daniel can turn any mistake into an opportunity. But because it was so sudden, the president passed the role to his trusted daughter. Or so everyone says. We don't know for sure what the previous president intended, but it seems everyone was convinced that Daniel was the next in line. With their expectations dashed, it's no wonder there's resentment towards Ms. Irving. The fact that they were peers probably adds to it. Ms. Irving, criticized based on unfounded assumptions. I wondered how she felt doing her job. Jason, how's the company? After a month of working there. Ms. Irving called me in. She was likely concerned about me since she had scouted me herself. I've grasped the work content. I'm still getting support from everyone, but no major issues. In reality, I had problems with the human relations, but I kept quiet to avoid causing her unnecessary worry. I didn't want to add to her stress. That's good to hear. Since we also deal with international clients, I was worried about the English aspect. I've been studying English, so it's not much of an issue at the moment. That's good to know. I struggled with English myself, so I was concerned. My mother always encouraged me to study languages. She said it would be essential in the future. Your mother sounds like a remarkable woman. Yes, but I'm having a hard time with business English and specialized terms. Everyone struggles with that at first. It's just a matter of getting used to it, so hang in there. You're one of our employees, after all. Yes. Ms. Irving smiled warmly. You're really uplifting, Jason. Really? Yes. Oh, by the way, I don't think I ever told you why I scouted you. No, you mentioned my personality and enthusiasm, but... Well, what if I said it was because you're my type? What? Her unexpected comment made my voice crack. I've never been popular in my life. No woman had ever shown interest in me before. But I'm an adult. I understood she wasn't serious, right? Well, I have a meeting now, so I'll see you later. Leaving me in a daze, Ms. Irving exited the office. My heart was pounding from her sudden remark. Was she just messing with me? Still, it didn't feel bad. Once I mastered the specialized English, my work started progressing smoothly. I created documents in English and managed to negotiate with international clients successfully. I began to enjoy my work, and despite it being an unfamiliar field, I quickly grew passionate about the industry. Even the senior employees who initially mocked me for being a high school graduate began to recognize my efforts. You're actually pretty capable. Even though I still occasionally heard whispers about being just a high school graduate, it had become much easier to work here compared to when I first joined. Jason, well done. That client is known for being impatient, but thanks to your smooth handling, things are progressing well. I was at a loss for how to respond to the praise from Kevin, the department manager. I had never been praised at my previous job, or it was expected that I could do anything. Should I be happy about it, or should I humbly say, I'm still learning? In situations like this, you should be happy. I heard Ms. Irving's voice and felt a hand on my shoulder. She had suddenly appeared next to me. She was just encouraging her subordinate, but the unexpected touch made me feel my face heat up. Did she not realize how attractive she was? Ms. Irving. You looked like you were scolded when you were being praised, so I was surprised. Oh, I'm sorry. You need to stop apologizing so quickly. You didn't do anything wrong. Yes, thank you. I bowed to both Kevin and Ms. Irving. Kevin scratched his cheek, looking between me and Ms. Irving. Honestly, when you first joined, I wasn't sure what to expect, but I guess I was worrying for nothing. Seems I have a good eye for people, don't I? Indeed, you do. Kevin, who had been with the company longer than Ms. Irving, laughed. He used to be her superior, but now their roles were reversed. He had once told me that it was awkward, but she seemed to be getting used to it. As I watched the two of them, I felt a sharp gaze on me. I turned to see Daniel looking our way. I remembered that Daniel was once considered the next president. I wondered what he thought about it. Was he uninterested, or did he truly want to be president? Well, it wasn't something I should be concerned with. The current president had already been decided. Ms. Irving's efforts were now being recognized by everyone. The position wouldn't change now. I had never spoken directly with Daniel since we were in different departments. So, when he called me one day, I was quite surprised. And it was about an important matter. Jason, I'd like you to help me with a project. Me? I couldn't imagine being able to assist someone from a different department, especially after just a few months. But I wanted to do what I could for Ms. Irving, who had brought me in. I know about you. You were hired through Ms. Irving's connection, right? Despite being called a high school graduate, you've been working hard and producing results. I see you as a strong employee who can perform well under pressure. I'd like you to support the upcoming business negotiation. I was taken aback. I didn't know Daniel had been paying attention to my work. I had occasionally felt like he was glaring at me, but maybe that was just my imagination. Of course, I'd be happy to help in any way I can. Please guide me. I bowed deeply, and Daniel smiled warmly. You're very earnest. All right, let's do this together. He handed me some documents. I was tasked with summarizing the materials for distribution as pamphlets, photographing the presentation, and taking minutes in English during the meeting. I started reviewing the documents to prepare the pamphlets. The clients, the projected costs for the project, the personnel involved, and the countries. The sheer number of details and the scale of this project were unlike anything I'd worked on before. Preparing for this made me incredibly nervous. Besides Daniel and me, Ms. Irving was also attending the meeting. While Daniel would primarily handle the negotiations, Ms. Irving needed to be there as the company's face. The importance of this meeting only heightened my anxiety. However, it was a great opportunity to contribute directly to Ms. Irving's work. I meticulously revised the pamphlets, repeatedly seeking feedback from other employees until they were perfect. The day of the meeting arrived. As I waited in front of the client's office, Ms. Irving arrived, followed shortly by Daniel. However, Daniel looked terribly unwell. His face was pale, his brow furrowed, and he seemed unsteady on his feet. Daniel, are you all right? Daniel, what's wrong? Actually, I've been feeling dizzy and chilly since this morning. I don't have a fever, though. That's serious. You should have called. It's my negotiation, so I couldn't miss it. I can't let you take the lead in this condition. I'll handle the negotiation. You should rest. I'm sorry. Daniel handed over his notes to Ms. Irving. These are my notes. I'm sorry for the trouble. It's no trouble at all. We help each other in times of need. Thank you. Jason, I'm counting on your support. Yes. Seeing Daniel's dedication reminded me of my mother. For his sake, I resolved to give it my all. Daniel waited in a nearby cafe. Ideally, he should have gone home, but he insisted on staying nearby, too worried about the meeting to rest. We have to do our best to put Daniel's mind at ease. The presentation would be in English, but Ms. Irving had won speech contests in school and was quite skilled. She could handle it almost as well as a presentation in Japanese. I was ready to take minutes as Ms. Irving began the negotiation. As the meeting started, Ms. Irving presented clearly and fluently in English. Partway through, someone raised their hand. It was a question. Ms. Irving signaled for them to proceed. But then... What? We were stunned. The question was in Chinese. It's not uncommon for participants to be from different countries. That's why we conducted the meeting in English, the global lingua franca. Why had they suddenly switched to Chinese? Despite her confusion, Ms. Irving asked politely in English if they could repeat the question. The questioner responded with a clearly displeased expression. Excuse me. Ms. Irving? What's going on? The client's representative pressed her. I was told there would be someone who speaks multiple languages at this meeting, so I made time in my busy schedule for this. What? Multiple languages. We hadn't heard anything about that. Daniel hadn't mentioned anything about multiple languages. Was this a mistake? Ms. Irving's reaction only made the client frown even more. Was that a lie? No, we never said. Would you do anything to set up this meeting? This is a matter of trust. There's been a misunderstanding. Like Ms. Irving, I was also panicking. I had to say something. But should a new employee like me step in? Would it cause more problems if I did? After all, I'm just a high school graduate with limited knowledge of the industry. Don't worry, you're one of our employees. Ms. Irving's words echoed in my mind. Yes. I am an employee. My job is to support this negotiation. Please wait. I'm the one responsible. I'll answer your questions. I stood up and raised my voice to stop the questioning of Ms. Irving. As expected, all eyes turned to me. Regarding your question earlier, I responded to the person who had asked in Chinese, using Chinese. The questioner blinked in surprise at first but then nodded as I explained. Then someone else raised their hand. This time, it was in French. I switched to French to answer. However, I struggled with the technical terms. But there was no turning back, so I used gestures and tried my best to explain. After answering that question, the initial client representative leaned in towards me. So, you can do it after all. Well, I apologize, I was planning to handle the Q&A session myself at the end. No worries, sorry for interrupting. Please continue. Thank you. Ms. Irving, I'll take it from here. Yes. I felt bad for leaving Ms. Irving astonished, but there was no time to explain, and I was desperate. I continued the presentation in English, then received a question in German. I guessed the meaning of unfamiliar terms from the context and answered. Switching back to English, I was then asked a question in Indonesian. Then back to English again. My head was spinning. Still, I somehow managed to finish the presentation and bowed. Applause erupted around the room. You are amazing. Honestly, I didn't expect much, but you really can handle multiple languages. Mr. Harris, the client's president, offered his hand for a handshake. As I shook his hand, he asked one final question. Unrelated to business, but how many languages can you speak? I can hold a conversation in 8 languages. Wow. Do you enjoy studying languages? Yes. My mother is a national interpreter. She used to read me picture books from various countries. So every language holds precious memories for me. I wanted to be like my mother, skilled in languages, so I studied hard. I see. With someone as reliable as you, we definitely want to do business with your company. Thank you very much. About an hour later, I left the office building, my legs feeling weak. Hey, Jason, are you okay? I'm sorry, I just lost all my energy. After the meeting, while the presidents discussed the contract, I was bombarded with questions. Numerous employees seemed to be testing my language skills for fun. They were delighted to hear their native languages spoken fluently and took turns asking questions in various languages. Failing here would mean losing the trust we had worked so hard to build. I felt like I was walking on a tightrope, just hoping the contract talks would end soon. Finally, I was free, which brought me to this exhausted state. Although there were no major failures, and I even managed to gain the employees' favor, I was utterly drained. As I headed towards the cafe where Daniel was likely waiting, he appeared in front of me. Daniel, are you feeling okay? Well, more importantly, judging by your state, the negotiation didn't go well, did it? Seeing me so exhausted, Daniel seemed to misunderstand and shrugged his shoulders with disappointment. Jason, despite trusting you to support me, this is the result. Very disappointing. Actually, I thought you were someone Ms. Irving recognized, but it seems I was wrong. As Daniel continued to speak without giving us a chance to explain, both Ms. Irving and I were left behind. He went on. Failing such a significant negotiation, it's also Ms. Irving's fault. Wait, what's going on, Daniel? I'm just stating the facts. This is a matter of your responsibility as you hired him. I'll have to bring this up in the internal meeting. Wait, no. Having the ability to judge people is crucial for a president. Be prepared for your credibility to be questioned. Despite his harsh words, Daniel seemed somewhat pleased. Why was he being so strict? Did you lie about the multiple language skills, Daniel? Ms. Irving looked suspiciously at Daniel. He remained unperturbed. Oh, that? Yes, I might have mentioned it. Securing an appointment with that company is tough, so if it takes a little lie to get it, it's worth it. They didn't believe it either, did they? What? Because of Daniel's lie, we ended up in a tight spot. It's unthinkable to secure an appointment through such means. Did you do this to undermine us? And then pretended to be sick to avoid the negotiation? What? After all, you were the one who insisted on the multiple language condition. Why didn't you tell us? Was this to set a trap for us? No. Yes, that's right. It was an unbelievable accusation, but Daniel admitted it easily. I wanted to test if you could handle such a crisis. A president who can't isn't fit for the role. What are you talking about? This could have caused massive damage. Ms. Irving was right. Our company's reputation was at stake. We narrowly avoided a catastrophe. However, Daniel seemed unfazed, even amused. One company doesn't matter much if I'm president. Besides, it's partly your fault for not handling it better. You should have been more flexible. You seem confused. We never said the negotiation failed. What? Daniel's mouth dropped open. We secured a preliminary contract. That means neither Jason nor I are to blame. The only one in trouble is you. What are you talking about? That's impossible. If you don't believe me, you can check for yourself. Either way, your actions today will be reported in the meeting, so be prepared. Let's go. Ms. Irving pulled my arm. Ignoring Daniel, who was standing still, I left the scene. The next day, it was confirmed that the negotiation went well, and we secured a significant contract. At the same time, Daniel's actions were brought up for discussion. Further investigation revealed that Daniel had been sabotaging his colleagues' work and then taking credit for fixing the issues. Despite being competent from the start, he had resorted to undermining others to gain more recognition. He believed without a doubt that he was the rightful successor to the presidency. When Ms. Irving was appointed, he sought revenge through underhanded means. Once his misdeeds were exposed, Daniel was dismissed. Even in his final moments, he tried to resist, but Ms. Irving firmly addressed him. Now I understand why my father chose me over you. He always said you were capable but couldn't value people. He thought you weren't ready to be president. The previous president had seen through Daniel's character. While I could understand Daniel's frustration at not being recognized for his contributions, achieving success by trampling on others is meaningless. I hoped he would reflect on his mistakes and start anew. After all, I am also someone who changed jobs. After everything settled down, I was summoned to the president's office again. Ms. Irving bowed her head to me. Jason, thank you so much for what you did. We wouldn't be here if you hadn't handled that situation. Please, lift your head. I was just doing my job. Besides, I should be the one thanking you. I'm always grateful to you for taking me in back then. I've always wanted to repay you. You've done more than enough. Your hard-earned language skills and the knowledge you've gained here are the best repayment. You've grown so much in such a short time, and your effort is truly commendable. As you know, I'm a high school graduate, and my family wasn't wealthy. I've learned painfully that life isn't fair. But I've also realized that with enough effort, you can enrich your life. So, I've just been working hard for myself. You're very admirable. So different from me. Ms. Irving gave a sad smile. What are you talking about? You've been working so hard to uplift this company even though you were suddenly appointed president. No. I'm not worthy of such praise. I've used my power for personal gain. What do you mean by that? I brought you into the company for my own personal reasons. That makes me unfit to be president. Now that she mentioned it, she had never clearly explained why she scouted me. For personal reasons. You were kind to me. That's all. I don't quite follow. When we first met, I had been making mistakes since morning, and everyone was criticizing me, saying I was just here because of my father's connections. I was at my breaking point, thinking I had no allies in the world. But then you, not knowing my situation, were kind to me. I thought, this person could be my ally. So, when I heard you were job hunting, I brought you in forcefully. I just used you. I'm sorry. Ms. Irving held a handkerchief to her eyes. I didn't know how to deal with a crying woman and felt helpless. Used me. I don't see it that way. You gave me confidence. Thanks to you, I had the courage to use the language skills that had never been useful before. I realized my efforts weren't in vain. And, should I say it now? Would it be selfish? Reluctantly, I have courage now. Helping someone I admire as a woman, there's nothing more rewarding than that. What? Oh. I know it's presumptuous of me to say, but no, not at all. Ms. Irving grabs my hand abruptly. I could feel her higher body temperature. At first, I was just using you, but I've come to admire your kindness and hard work, Jason. This seemed too good to be true, but it wasn't just luck. We had been honest and diligent, leading to this result. After this, we visited Ashley's father, the former president, in the hospital. We reported the success of the negotiation and the internal issues to Ashley's father, who had stepped down as president and taken on the role of chairman. And we also told him about our relationship. Someone good for Ashley. I'm relieved. She was only interested in work, and I was worried as her father. Don't say unnecessary things. Their father-daughter interaction was heartwarming. I suddenly thought it would be nice for Ashley to meet my mother someday. From now on, I need to study management to be more helpful to Ashley. My life isn't just about making money anymore. I am fortunate to be able to make efforts to enrich my way of living. They say life is a continuous journey of learning. Nothing learned ever goes to waste. With that lesson in mind, I want to keep learning many things.